The moment Emma's lips touched his, the entire hospital lobby went silent. Security guards froze. Nurses gasped. The richest man in America just got kissed by a janitor in dirty scrubs. But this wasn't romance. This was survival. And what happened in the next 60 seconds would change both their lives forever. But to understand why Emma did what she did, we need to go back 3 hours. Before we continue, if you love stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to hear proves that sometimes the bravest person in the room is the one nobody's paying attention to. Now let's get back to the story. Emma Rodriguez worked the night shift at St. Mary's Hospital, not as a nurse, not as a doctor, as a janitor, the person who cleaned up after everyone else went home, the invisible worker people walked past without a second glance. She was 28 years old, a single mother to a 7-year-old daughter named Lily, and she worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on in their tiny apartment. Every night, Emma mopped floors from midnight to 6 in the morning. Every morning, she went straight to her second job at a laundromat. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. But Emma never complained, because complaining didn't pay bills. Complaining didn't put food on the table, so she worked, and worked, and worked. On this particular Tuesday night, something was different at the hospital. Security was everywhere. Men in dark suits with earpieces lined the hallways. Something big was happening on the 5th floor, the private wing where only the wealthiest patients stayed. Emma's supervisor, a mean-spirited woman named Patricia, pulled her aside. "Listen carefully. The 5th floor is off limits tonight. Do not go up there, do not ask questions. Just clean the lobby and stay out of the way. Understood?" Emma nodded. She'd learned long ago that asking questions only got you fired. But as she mopped the lobby floor at 2 in the morning, she heard shouting coming from the elevators, then screaming, then chaos. The elevator doors opened and a man stumbled out, clutching his chest. He was maybe 40 years old, tall, wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than Emma made in 6 months. His face was pale. Sweat poured down his forehead. He was clearly having a heart attack. Behind him, a woman in a designer dress screamed into her phone. "We need a doctor now. Where is everyone? Help." But here's the thing. It was 2 in the morning. The emergency room was 3 floors down and overwhelmed with a car accident that had just brought in 12 patients. The 5th floor nurses were dealing with another critical patient. And this man, this dying man in the lobby, was alone except for the screaming woman and a janitor nobody noticed. Emma dropped her mop. She ran toward him just as he collapsed onto the marble floor. His eyes rolled back. His breathing stopped. The woman in the designer dress stumbled backward, still screaming into her phone, completely useless. Emma had exactly 90 seconds before brain damage set in, maybe less. She dropped to her knees, ripped open his shirt, and started CPR. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Her hands pumped against his chest with everything she had. "Come on," she whispered. "Come on, stay with me." Nothing. She checked for a pulse, still nothing. That's when she remembered something from the CPR certification class she'd taken 3 years ago when she thought she might become a nurse. Before Lily got sick, before medical bills destroyed that dream, the instructor had mentioned something about severe cardiac episodes, something about stimulation, something desperate. Emma looked at the dying man's face, then at the useless woman still screaming, then at the empty lobby. She made a choice. She leaned down and kissed him, hard, a shock to the system, a jolt of stimulation combined with rescue breathing that was more aggressive than standard CPR. And his eyes opened. He gasped, coughed, sucked in air like a drowning man breaking the surface. Color returned to his face. The woman in the designer dress finally stopped screaming. That's when the security guards arrived, then the nurses, then the doctors, Everyone rushed toward the man on the floor, pushing Emma aside like she was invisible again. They lifted him onto a stretcher, hooked him to machines, rushed him toward the elevator. As they wheeled him away, his eyes found Emma's. For just a second they locked onto hers. She couldn't read his expression: shock, gratitude, anger. Then he was gone. The woman in the designer dress glared at Emma with pure disgust. "Who do you think you are?" she hissed. "How dare you put your filthy hands on him?" Emma said nothing, just picked up her mop and went back to work. If you think that's where this story ends, you're wrong. What happens next is so unexpected, so completely insane, that you need to keep watching. And if you're enjoying this story, smash that like button so more people can see it. 3 days passed. Emma heard nothing. She assumed that was the end of it. Rich man has heart attack. Janitor saves him. Rich man goes back to his rich life. Janitor goes back to being invisible. Except on Friday morning, Emma got called into her supervisor's office. Patricia sat behind her desk with a face like stone. "You're fired," she said flatly. Emma's world tilted. "What? Why?" "The hospital is being sued because of you. That man you touched, that was James Cartwright, billionaire, CEO of Cartwright Industries, one of the most powerful men in the country, and you assaulted him. I saved his life. You kissed him without consent. His legal team is calling it assault. The hospital is cutting ties with you to protect itself. Clean out your locker. You have 10 minutes. Emma couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. She saved a man's life and now she was being punished for it. She walked out of that office in a daze. No job meant no money. No money meant no rent. No rent meant she and Lily would be on the streets. That night, Emma sat in her dark apartment after Lily went to sleep. She had $47 in her bank account. Rent was due in 5 days. She'd already been rejected from 3 jobs that week. She put her face in her hands and cried. Then someone knocked on her door. Emma froze. Nobody visited her, ever. She opened the door slowly and found a man in a black suit standing in the hallway. "Emma Rodriguez." "Yes. I'm here on behalf of James Cartwright. He'd like to see you, tonight. I have a car waiting downstairs." Emma's heart pounded. "I don't understand. He's suing me." "No, ma'am. That lawsuit was dropped this morning. Mr. Cartwright would like to speak with you personally. It's urgent." Emma looked back at her sleeping daughter, then at the stranger at her door. Every instinct screamed danger, but what choice did she have? She followed him downstairs. The car drove her to a mansion that looked like something out of a movie. Marble columns, fountains, gates that probably cost more than her entire apartment building. Inside, she was led to a massive library, and there he was, James Cartwright, the man she'd saved. He looked healthier now, but his eyes were hard, unreadable. The woman in the designer dress stood next to him. His wife, Emma assumed. "Sit," James said, "not a request, a command." Emma sat. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. "Yes." "Do you know what you did to me?" "I saved your life." The wife scoffed. "You assaulted him." James held up a hand, silencing her. "My medical team reviewed the security footage. They confirmed that I was clinically dead for 42 seconds. Standard CPR wasn't working. You did something unorthodox, aggressive, and it worked. You brought me back." Emma said nothing. James leaned forward. "I'm a man who pays his debts. You saved my life. So I'm going to ask you a question and I want complete honesty. What do you want?" Emma blinked. "I don't understand." "Money, a job, a house, name it. I'm prepared to compensate you for what you did." And here's where Emma shocked everyone in that room. She stood up. "I don't want anything from you," she said quietly. "I did what any decent person would do. You were dying, I helped, that's it. I don't need your money, I just need my job back. Because your legal team got me fired and now my daughter and I are going to lose our apartment. So if you actually want to help me, call the hospital and tell them to rehire me. That's all I want." The room went silent. The wife stared at Emma like she was an alien. James studied her face for a long moment. Then he did something nobody expected. He laughed. Not a mocking laugh, a genuine, surprised laugh. "You're serious," he said. "You really don't want anything." "I want my job back." James nodded slowly. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call right there. "This is James Cartwright. I'm calling about Emma Rodriguez, the janitor you fired. You're going to rehire her immediately, double her salary, and if anyone gives her problems, they answer to me personally." He hung up. "Done. You start Monday. Now get out." Emma blinked. "That's it." "That's it. My driver will take you home." She turned to leave, but then James spoke again. "Wait." She stopped. "Why'd you kiss me?" Emma turned back. The CPR wasn't working. I remembered something from a class I took, about stimulation combined with rescue breathing. It was a last resort. I thought you were going to die. And you didn't care that I was a stranger, that I was rich, that kissing me might get you in trouble. I cared that you were dying. Nothing else mattered. For the first time, something changed in James Cartwright's expression. Something soft, something human. "What's your daughter's name?" he asked quietly. "Lily." "How old?" 7. He nodded. "Go home to Lily and thank you." You think this story is over. Oh, you have no idea what's coming. Stay with me. Drop a comment right now telling me if you think James is a good guy or not. Let's see what you think. Emma went home that night feeling like she'd stepped into a dream. She had her job back, double salary, her rent was safe, Lily was safe. Monday came and she returned to the hospital, but something was different. People stared at her, whispered. Patricia, her former supervisor, wouldn't even make eye contact. Emma ignored it all and went back to work. 2 weeks passed. Everything seemed normal. Then one Tuesday, Emma got a visitor during her shift. James Cartwright walked into the hospital lobby at 3 in the morning wearing jeans and a sweater. No security, no entourage, just him. He found Emma mopping near the emergency room entrance. "Can we talk?" he asked. Emma set down her mop. "Okay." They sat on a bench outside under the hospital awning. The city was quiet, just the sound of distant traffic and wind. "I need to tell you something," James said, "and you're going to think I'm crazy." "Try me." He took a deep breath. "That woman you saw with me the night I collapsed, the one in the designer dress screaming." "Your wife." "My sister, Victoria." Emma frowned. "Oh, I assumed." "Everyone does. Victoria and I run the family company together. She's ruthless, cold, brilliant at business, but she's not exactly warm." "Okay." "The night I had the heart attack, I wasn't just sick, I was poisoned." Emma's blood went cold. "What?" "Someone put something in my drink at a business dinner. The doctors confirmed it 3 days ago. A slow-acting toxin designed to trigger cardiac arrest. If I died, it would have looked natural. A heart attack, nothing suspicious, and my sister would have inherited everything." Emma couldn't breathe. "You think your sister tried to kill you?" "I know she did. I have proof. Security footage from the dinner. Financial records showing she's been embezzling millions from the company. She was desperate, and I was in the way." "Why are you telling me this?" James turned to face her fully. "Because you're the only reason I'm alive. You saved me before anyone else could have. If you hadn't been there, if you hadn't acted, Victoria would have gotten away with murder. And I need you to know that what you did wasn't just CPR. You stopped a conspiracy. You exposed a killer, and I'm going to make sure you're protected." "Protected from what?" "From her. Victoria knows you saved me. She knows you're a witness to what happened that night, and she's dangerous." Emma's hands started shaking. "I'm just a janitor. I don't want to be involved in this." "I know, but you already are, and I'm not going to let anything happen to you or Lily. That's why I'm here, to offer you protection, a new apartment, security, everything you need to stay safe while I deal with my sister." Emma stared at this billionaire sitting next to her on a hospital bench, offering to protect her from his own family. "Why do you care?" she whispered. James looked away. "Because for the first time in 20 years, someone did something for me without expecting anything in return. You didn't know who I was. You didn't care about my money. You just saw a dying man and helped. And that's rare. In my world, that doesn't exist. Everyone wants something. Everyone has an angle, but you. You just wanted your job back so you could feed your kid. That's it." Tears filled Emma's eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes, let me protect you, please." And Emma, this exhausted single mother who'd spent years being invisible, who'd spent her life just trying to survive, looked at this broken billionaire who'd been betrayed by his own blood, and she said yes. 3 months later, Victoria Cartwright was arrested for attempted murder, embezzlement, and conspiracy. The evidence James had gathered was overwhelming. She'd be in prison for the next 20 years. Emma and Lily moved into a safe apartment paid for by James. Not a mansion, just a clean, secure 2-bedroom in a good neighborhood with good schools. Emma kept working at the hospital because she wanted to, but James made sure she was protected. Security watched her building. Drivers took Lily to school. And slowly, carefully, something unexpected grew between Emma and James. It wasn't romance. Not at first. It was friendship, respect. 2 people from completely different worlds who'd saved each other in ways neither expected. James taught Lily how to play chess. Emma taught James how to laugh again, how to trust again. 6 months after that night in the hospital lobby, James asked Emma a question. They were sitting in a park watching Lily play on the swings. "Do you ever think about that kiss?" he asked. Emma smiled. "Sometimes, do you?" "Every day, because that's the moment my life split into before and after. Before, I was surrounded by people who wanted my money. After, I met someone who just wanted to save me. And I think about how lucky I am that you were the one mopping that floor that night." Emma looked at him, really looked at him. "You know what I think about," she said softly. "I think about how I almost didn't act. I almost stayed invisible like I always did. But something in me said, not this time. This time, be brave. And that decision changed everything." James reached over and took her hand. "I'm glad you were brave." "Me too." And as Lily ran toward them laughing, as the sun set over the city, Emma realized something beautiful. Sometimes the biggest moments in life don't look big when they're happening. Sometimes they look like a janitor and a mop, a dying man and a desperate choice, a kiss that was never about romance but about survival. Sometimes the people we save end up saving us right back. And sometimes, just sometimes, being invisible your whole life means that when you finally step into the light, the whole world has to stop and see you. James and Emma eventually fell in love, not because of money or gratitude, but because they saw each other, really saw each other. Emma became the COO of James's company, using her sharp mind and work ethic to transform how they did business. Lily got the education she deserved, and James finally found the family he'd always wanted but never had. As for that kiss, they laughed about it at their wedding 3 years later. Emma gave a toast and said, "I kissed my husband before I even knew his name, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat, because saving someone you love is never wrong, even if you don't know they're going to be the love of your life yet." The room erupted in applause. And somewhere in prison, Victoria watched the news coverage and realized she'd lost everything by trying to take everything. Because the universe has a funny way of balancing the scales. The people who give without expecting anything often receive more than they ever dreamed, and the people who take everything usually end up with nothing. If this story touched your heart, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel right now. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment telling me what you would have done if you were Emma. Would you have kissed a stranger to save their life? Thank you for watching. Remember, sometimes the smallest act of courage creates the biggest miracles, and sometimes the person cleaning the floors is actually the hero of the story. See you in the next one.